I recorded some early Steps Ahead records, and then Don Grolnick followed up on that with a couple of his projects.
Very good, very good. So, this is Somewhere by Mike Maneri. That was Somewhere by Mike Maneri from his album An American Diary, released by NYC Records. Mike Maneri on vibraphone, Joe Lovano on tenor sax, Eddie Gomez on bass, and Peter Erskine on drums. Composed, of course, by Leonard Bernstein, and recorded at Avatar Studios by James Farber. Okay, and Rainsville was done in Studio 8, right?
Yep, that was part of Don Grolnick's Medianoche record, a Latin jazz record.
And you said there was no drums on there.
Well, it was a traditional Latin percussion section, timbales, congas, and the third guy alternating between bongos, guiro, and other.
You know, is that odd in a session, or do you normally have like a fixed drum set, or?
Oh, totally. On most traditional jazz records, this being a Latin jazz record was a real hybrid and went with the Latin rhythm section, and featured a baby bass Ampeg electric upright played by Andy Gonzalez.
Which has a very specific sound.
Very specific sound, which you'll hear on the recording, and the tenor saxophone solo is a beautiful one by Michael Brecker.
Very good. Very good. Now, this is Rainsville by Don Grolnick. Once again, that was Rainsville by Don Grolnick from his album Medianoche, released by Pony Canyon. Don Grolnick on piano, Dave Valentin on flute, Michael Brecker on tenor saxophone, recorded and mixed by James Farber at the Power Station. Tell me about the mixing on State of the Union.
That was done with everybody playing in one room, which is something I like to do with no earphones. And also, I listened to a lot of old records, early stereo records from the early 60s, and this was done in that style where the drums are in mono on the right channel, saxophones in mono on the left channel, and the bass is mono in the middle.
So it's hard panning.
Hard panning.
All the way.
Kind of tribute to my idols, Rudy Van Gelder and Fred Plout.
Very good, very good. This next song is State of the Union by Fly. That was State of the Union by Fly from their self-titled album released by Savoy Jazz. Fly is Mark Turner on horns, Jeff Ballard on drums, and Larry Grenadier on bass. But Not For Me is live to 2-track?
Yes, it is. I do a lot of that also. I mean, some people do it because they like to save money. It's very rare for a vocalist to do it, and Georgie Fame was not afraid of it, and this was also done hard panning, and it was a real challenge to keep that voice front and center the whole time, but I think we got it.
I think it sounds amazing.
Thanks.
This next song is But Not For Me by Georgie Fame.
Old man sunshine, listen you, never tell me dreams come true, just try it, and I'll start a riot. Beatrice Fairfax, don't you dare ever tell me she will care, I'm certain it's the final curtain. I never wanna hear from any cheerful Pollyannas who tell you fate provides a mate, that's all but I know. They're writing songs of love, but not for me. A lucky start, but not for me. With love to lead the way, I found more clouds of gray than any Russian play, guaranteed. Well, I was a fool to fall again that way. I hold on, and so like the day. Although I can't dismiss the memory of her kiss, I guess you can for me. I might as well come clean. Whenever I'm about to find romance, love seems to vanish into thin air. Well, I guess I'll never see the light. It's such a puzzle, and I'm really in the mud, 'cause love has got to go around and around in circles. I feel so confused without the girl to share my world. I'm on at sea, a fish without a tail, a boat without a rudder. Somebody hear my plea and rescue me. It's a tragedy every time I hear a melody. People always seem to sing songs about the joys of love and romance. Ah, but alas for me, it's always Bobby. writing songs of love, but not for me. Lucky stars above, but not for me. We'd love to lead the way. I found more clouds of gray than any Chinese play could guarantee. I was a fool to fall and get that way. I hope relax and on some black day. Although I can't dismiss the memory of her kiss, I guess she's not for me. The girl is not. I never stood a chance for Chet Baker took romance from me.
And that was But Not For Me by Georgie Fame from his album Poet in New York, released by Go Jazz. Georgie Fame on vocals, Bob Malik on sax, Dave Hazeltine on piano, Peter Washington on bass, and Louis Hayes on drums, composed by George and Ira Gershwin. And you mixed Hear the Same But Different. Can you tell me about that?
Well, that was one that I didn't record but mixed, and Rebecca Martin is a great singer who really crosses a line between pop and jazz and is underrepresented, I think, and just wanted to present this song, which I think she's a great songwriter. Originally, she wrote with Jesse Harris as part of the group Once Blue, and Jesse, as we know, wrote hits for Nora Jones.
Very good. Now, this is Hear the Same But Different by Rebecca Martin.
Even if you choose to go on your separate way, I'm hoping you'll be back. Hear the same but different. Colder bodies, colder still. Swollen in the morning, I remember watching you wake into your sorrow. Helpless there, I try to keep you safe from what's inside. Way down where I couldn't reach you to rest for just a while. Will you ever come to try
That was Rebecca Martin with Hear the Same But Different from her album Behave Like Ballads, released by Max Jazz. Rebecca Martin on vocals, Peter Rende on piano, Steve Cardenas on electric guitar, and once again mixed by James Farber. I'd like to thank James for joining us in the studio. Thank you very much, James.
Nice to be here.
Okay, then we'll see you around the studio.
Okay.
So that's about all the time that we have for this installment of Avatar Studio Presents. I want to give a shout out to David in Sydney, Australia, who sent us a really nice email. And if you want to send us an email, you can do so at podcast@avatarstudios.net and let us know what you think. Let us know what songs you liked. Let us know what you'd like to hear. And remember, an idiot in a room full of geniuses is still an idiot. Hey there, jazz fans. Welcome. You're listening to the first ever podcast of Avatar Studio Presents. This show features great music and interviews by the people who record the music. My name's Wade, and I'm your host. Let's pay the bills here first. I'll tell you a little bit about Avatar Studios. Avatar Studios is one of the industry's top recording studios. We're located in New York City. Multi-room facility built in 1977, formerly known as the Power Station. Do a lot of rock, a lot of jazz. Over 400 gold and platinum albums have been recorded here. Recent artists who recorded are Nora Jones, Anna Krall, Eric Clapton, Dave Brubeck, Hank Jones, Maria Schneider, countless others. The idea behind the show is to help introduce music that may not be widely known or heard, but of great quality, brought to you by the artists where the music was made. Visit us online at www.avatarstudios.net. In this half hour, we're going to have some music and an interview with Don Friedman, one of the jazz greats. Anyway, enough of the talk. Let's get to some music. My producer Kirk and I really wanted to kick this off with Birdland, title track from Masanori Sasagi and the LA All-Stars album, available on 441 Records. Sasagi is a well-known producer in Japan and has arranged big band versions of songs made famous by The Weather Report. Once again, that was Birdland by Masanori Sasagi and the LA All-Stars. Your soloists were Ernie Watts on tenor sax and Dan Higgins on soprano sax, conducted by Jerry Hay, who of course you might remember from Seawind. Our next song is Far Away by Ayako Shirasaki from her album Existence. Ayako was a jazz prodigy. She moved to New York in 1997 and is very active in Neo Jazz and is currently unsigned. This is Ayako Shirasaki with her composition Far Away. Once again, that was Far Away by Ayako Shirasaki from her album Existence. And now we're going to play 35 West 4th Street by the Don Freeman Trio. was 35 West 4th Street by the Don Freeman Trio from their album Waltz for Debbie, which is available on 441 Records. The song was composed by Don Freeman, with George Mraz on bass and Lewis Nash on drums. We'd like to take this opportunity to wish Don Freeman a happy birthday. During a recent phone interview, I had a chance to discuss upcoming shows, some influences, and some of his music. So here's my interview with Don Freeman. Hi, Don.
Yeah.
How you doing? This is Wade from Avatar Studios.
Okay, hi Wade, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Fine.
I understand you have a happy birthday coming up, so happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Could you please tell us the story about the writing of 35 West 4th Street?
Yeah, sure. 35 West 4th Street is the address of the education building at New York University, and that's where the place where I teach piano lessons. There, I teach jazz piano lessons in that building.
Uh-huh.
And one day when I had started writing this piece several times, and I always had trouble once I got past the first few bars. And then this one day I was sitting in the room waiting for a student, and he failed to show up, and I took out that piece of music, and suddenly it just all came to me, and I wrote the whole thing out in, I don't know, less than a half an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you ever thank that student?
Pardon me?
Did you ever thank that student?
No, I didn't actually. I should have.
Yeah. So, okay, and on your album, my favorite thing is you did a version of "Never Let Me Go" by Ray Evans and Jay Livingston.
Right.
What was it about this song that inspired you to record it yourself?
Well, it's a little bit of an unusual song. I think it's an absolutely beautiful song. One of the first times that I remember hearing it, I heard Nat Cole had a recording of it. And then later on, Bill Evans recorded it. He did a solo piano version of it, which was really very impressive.
Yeah.
And it's just a gorgeous tune, and I just wanted to play it, and so I learned it, and then I kind of fixed up a little ending for it, and recorded it.
And I think you did a fabulous job on that.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I understand you're in Seattle. Are you on tour right now? Or?
Well, I'm still a member of the Clark Terry Quintet, and he's got this gig in Seattle at the Jazz Alley, and that's where we're going tomorrow morning.
Very good. Are you going to be playing in New York anytime soon?
Yes. When I come back, I think it's the middle of April, I'm going to be playing at the Dizzy's Coca-Cola Club, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And I'll be doing the late set there for 1 week with the bass player.
Very good. I'll try to make it up to that.
Yeah.
And any recording projects coming up?
Well, I just did one. I just finished one about 2 weeks ago that's for the Japanese company, 88s.
Yeah.
And that was with Ron Carter and Omar Hakim.
Oh, really? Yeah, these are great players.
Yeah.
Great players. Well, I want to thank you for your time.
Sure.
And hope to see you around, okay?
Okay, thanks a lot, Wade.
You take care, Don.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, Don. We'll catch you in the studio. And this is Never Let Me Go by the Don Freeman Trio. album My Favorite Things. Once again with George Mraz on bass and Lewis Nash on drums, recorded here at Avatar Studios in Studio C. So I think we're going to end this thing with a good blues song by Ian Shaw. This is As Soon as the Weather Breaks.
As soon as the weather breaks, baby, I think I'll pack my bags and head that way. As soon as the weather breaks, baby, I think I'll pack my bags and head that way. I just want you to be nice to a friend until I can see a better day. It's cold here, baby, I can't even get to the store. Got me snowed in, baby, I can't even get to the store. As soon as the weather breaks, baby, I ain't leaving this home no more. In the morning I shiver, can't turn the heat up anymore. Noon turns my bones just shiver. And what to do, I don't know, I don't know. Late afternoon, I'm really going down so slow, so slow. Seems like my luck's been running downhill lately. Everything I do turns out wrong. Seems like my luck's been running downhill lately. Everything I do turns out wrong. I might have been down before, baby, but this time I wanna come back home. I think I'll pack my bags and head that way. Soon as the weather breaks, baby, I think I'll pack my bags and head that way. I just want you to be nice to a friend until I can see better days. Seems like my luck's been running downhill lately. Everything I do turns out wrong. Seems like my luck's been running downhill lately. Everything I do turns out wrong. I might have been down before, baby, but this time I wanna come back.
It was a duet by Ian Shaw and Mark Murphy, As Soon as the Weather Breaks, from Ian Shaw's album, A World Still Turning, produced by Todd Barkin. Piano solo was by Billy Childs, and Mark Fletcher on drums, recorded in Studio C. Well, that's about all the time that we have, so we'd like to hear from you. You can send your comments to podcast@avatarstudios.net. What bands you would like to hear more from. We welcome your feedback. For more information about this episode or other shows, please log on to avatarstudios.net and go to the podcast page. And it's there that you can find a listing of all the music played in each episode and the links where you can find out more about the bands that were featured. Our next show will feature Pamela Driggs, a vocalist with a unique Brazilian flavor. I want to thank you very much for listening, and remember, only you can prevent forest fires. Welcome back, jazz fans, to another edition of Avatar Studio Presents, coming to you from Avatar Studios in New York City. We're bringing you some great music by great artists. My name is Wade, and I'm your host. Avatar Studios has been one of the industry's top recording studios for close to 30 years. If you want to learn more about us, please visit us online at avatarstudios.net. I want to thank Elvis from Memphis and Juan from Colombia for the fine comments. we're going to feature two vocalists from the United Kingdom, Claire Martin and Ian Shaw. Claire Martin has won Best Vocalist category 4 times by the British Jazz Awards and went on to win BBC's Jazz Vocalist of the Year in 2003. Ian Shaw has won the BBC's Jazz Vocalist of the Year in 2004 and has recorded 8 highly acclaimed albums. Let's get this started with Claire Martin. This song is God Give Me Strength from her album Secret Love.
So God, give me strength, 'cause I'm weak in His way, and if I'm strong, I might still break, and I don't have anything to share that I won't throw away to the air. That song is sung out. This spell is rung out. He was the light that I'd bless. He took my last chance at happiness. So God, give me strength. God, give me strength. I can't hold on to Him. God, give me strength when the phone doesn't ring and I'm lost in imagining everything that kind of love is worth. As I tumble back down to the earth, that song is sung out. This spell is rung out. He was the light that I'd bless. He took my last chance at happiness. So God, give me strength. God, if He'd grant me His indulgence and decline, I might as well wipe Him from my memory, fracture the spell as He becomes my enemy. Maybe I was washed out like a lip print on a shirt. See, I'm only human. I want Him to hurt. I want Him to Since I lost the power to pretend that there could
Once again, that was God Give Me Strength by Claire Martin from her album Secret Love, available on Lynn Records, with Jim Mullen on guitar. This next song is The Gentleman Is a Dope by Claire Martin from her album Too Darn Hot.
The boss gets on my nerves, I've got a good mind to quit. I've taken all I can, it's time to get up and get and move to another job, or maybe another town. The gentleman burns me up, the gentleman gets me down. The gentleman is a dope, a man of many faults, a clumsy Joe who wouldn't know a rubber from a waltz. The gentleman is a dope, and not my cup of tea. Why do I get into the he doesn't belong to me? The gentleman isn't bright, he doesn't know the score. A cake will come, he'll take a crumb and never ask for more. The gentleman's eyes are blue, but little do they see. Why am I beating my brains out? He doesn't belong to me. He is somebody else's problem. She is welcome to the guy. She'll never understand him half as well as I. The gentleman is a dope, he isn't very smart. He's just a lug you love to hug and hold against your heart. The gentleman doesn't know how happy he could be. Look at me crying my eyes out as if he belonged to me. Welcome to the guy. She'll never understand him half as well as I. The gentleman is a dope, he isn't very smart. He's just a lug you love to hug and hold against your heart. The gentleman doesn't know how happy he could be. Look at me crying my eyes out. Look at me crying my eyes out as if he belonged to me. He'll never belong to me. To me.
Once again from Too Darn Hot, that was Claire Martin. The song was The Gentleman Is a Dope, also available on Lynn Records. And that featured Phil Robson on guitar, Gareth Williams on piano, and the guest scat vocalist was Ian Shaw. Oh, and speaking of Ian Shaw, had a chance to have a conversation with him earlier, and it went just like this.
So, what's the jazz scene out there in the UK?
The jazz scene here in the UK is fairly eclectic. We've got a lot of European influences to, like the Excellent Benson trio. It's good, it's good. Well, and also Dave Douglas from the States, he's doing really well over here. And as for the UK scene, we continue to flourish in our quaint little ways.
Very good. So what was it, how did you meet Claire Martin, and what was it like working with her?
I met Claire Martin at Pete Thomas's house. Pete Thomas had a band called the Deep Sea Jivers. This is years and years and years ago. She was 20 years old, which made me, I guess, 25. And we duetted at some London gigs and then started doing festivals. And we realised that we had the same kind of soul, the same kind of jazz soul, if you like.
Yeah.
So we put together shows and recordings, and we're still doing it, I suppose 18 years later.
Right, 18 years?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good relationship.
It's a good one.
You have a new album coming out. Tell us about it.
Well, I'm recording an album of Joni Mitchell songs called Drawn to All Things. We record it at the end of November, and hopefully it'll be coming your way sometime next year.
Very, very good. How did the song Rockabye come about?
Rockabye was a song, it was written, I was staying in a motel in some very strange place in the Midwest, and I can't quite remember where. And the only thing available to me was CNN, and CNN ran a documentary about a Midwestern family whose father and son had both been killed during two separate wars, first the Gulf and then the atrocity that was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was just written for everyone really that's lost anyone in a man-made situation based on creed or colour or religion or oil, and I just found it a terrible thing to do. I made it into a lullaby, basically, from a mother to a son, and also from a son to a mother, because when he was away fighting, he missed his mummy, because he was just 19 years old.
Yeah.
And it's literally word for word, including some of the names. I haven't changed the names. The guy was called Junior. I suspect that's a fairly common American name. And it's a celebration of the power of the human condition and its ability to forge ahead in spite of rank politics.
No, it's a beautiful thing that you can take something as tragic as that and then turn it around and to kind of make a positive statement about it.
Oh yeah, well, it had to be done. I'm not a political singer. I think to be political in a humanitarian way, if you can put it in the context of jazz, then I think it works very, very well. I continue to play The World Still Turning, which is my favourite album, I think, that I recorded. With the guys at Avatar, I continue to play that material at those gigs. And I think that's a testament to the atmosphere that we managed to create on the record.
Any favourite projects or people that you've worked with?
One of my favourite projects was actually working on an album, The World Still Turning, at Avatar Studios. I had a lot of fun doing that album. It seemed to be the perfect, for me, as a British person involved indirectly with 9/11, it seemed to be the perfect kind of post-9/11 album for me. It summed up how I felt about my friends, my family, and the state of the world.
You're playing the International Hartford Jazz Festival in October. Are you doing any other U.S. dates?
Not until we have a new release available in the States. So the Hartford Jazz Festival is the only appearance I'll be doing, certainly this year. And then we aim to go back to the States in the spring with a new project.
Are you going to be doing a tour or just
we'll be touring. We'll be, obviously, it is difficult without an enormous amount of tour support. From a record company, it's very difficult, so we are very happy to do the gigs that come our way and either play with local musicians or sometimes, if I'm lucky, I'm able to take my band.
I want to thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy day.
My pleasure.
And we'll hope to see you around the studio.
Say hi to everyone in New York.
Absolutely, will do.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ian.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, by Ian Shaw, this is Rockabye from his album A World Still Turning.
He was the last born of the family. He looked just the same as his father 20 years before. They called him Junior, and all seemed easy. He took his first steps in the backyard September 1984. Junior ran for the county, fought fair every fight, a natural born leader. But sometimes at night, when the tears roll down, Mama sang, rock-a-bye, my little baby, rock-a-bye. Rock-a-bye, my little soldier, rock-a-bye. He wrote his mama 10 letters. She read them so slowly, like the ones from his father 20 years ago. He said it's just like real killing, but she hoped it was played dead, not real, just a story on the TV show. Junior played cards with soldiers. Mama prayed for the light. Junior took back to whiskey, and sometimes at night, when the black wings beat hard, he heard his mama cry, rock-a-bye, my little baby, it'll be all right. Rock-a-bye, my little man, rock-a-bye. Desert, like a playground, the sons of the silent accepted restriction, like little boys again. It was a blunder, it was stupid, just a second to go. Junior smiled as he ran with the cameraman. Mama looked at the TV. She reached for the phone. She dialed every number. Nobody home. Now the days go so slowly. She's no strength to fight. With no God to hear her, she turns out the light. She prays for the night. Rock-a-bye, 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 my little angel, rock-a-bye, 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 my little baby, rock-a-bye. It'll be all right. Rock-a-bye.
And once again, that was Rockabye by Ian Shaw from his album World Still Turning, from 441 Records. That featured Paul Bollenbeck on guitar, and written by Ian Shaw, and was recorded here at Avatar Studios in Studio C, and was mixed by Roy Hendrickson. And besides his songwriting, Ian has a special ability to take a well-known song and make it uniquely his own. Case in point is this next song, Alone Again Naturally, by Ian Shaw from his album A World Still Turning.
In a little while from now, if I'm not feeling any less sound, I promise myself to treat myself and go visit a nearby town. And climbing to the top, I could throw myself off in an effort to make it clear to me what it's like when you're shattered, left standing in the lovely church, where the people are saying, my God, that's so tough. She's still enough. No point in us leaving. We may as well go home, as I did on my own, alone again, naturally. I think that all along the way was cheerful, bright and gay, and I was looking forward to, well, wouldn't you, the role I was about to play. And as if to knock me down, reality came around without so much as a mere touch. It broke me into tiny pieces, leaving me doubt the power of the Lord God Almighty. And if he really does exist, why the hell did he desert me in my hour of need? I surely am indeed alone again, naturally. There are too many people in this world with broken hearts that can't be mended, left unattended. What can we do? That all through the year, everything else that appeared, I remember I cried when my daddy died, never wishing to hide his tears. He was 65 years old. My mama, God rest her soul, she couldn't understand why the only man she'd ever loved had been taken, leaving her to cope with a heart so badly broken, without a single word from me. No words were ever spoken. When she passed away, I cried and cried all day, alone again, alone again, alone again, naturally.
Once again, that was Alone Again Naturally by Ian Shaw from his album A World Still Turning from 441 Records. We got time for one more song, so let's end this with both Claire Martin and Ian Shaw singing Blue Motel Room from Claire Martin's album Too Darn Hot.
I've got a blue
motel room with a blue bedspread. I got blues inside and outside my head. Will you still love me when I call you up when I'm down?
You still love me when I'm down.
I got road maps from 24 states. I got coast to coast just to contemplate. Will you still love me when I get back to town? You and me were like America and Russia, always keeping score, and we're always balanced in the power. Get to be that can get that can get to be a cold war. I've got a blue motel room with a blue bedspread. I got the blues, oh, I got the blues inside and outside my head.
Outside my head.
Will you still love me when I get back to town?
I'm gonna love you when you're back in town.
Love me when I'm back in town.
And once again, that was Blue Motel Room from Claire Martin's album Too Darn Hot from Lynn Records. That featured Claire Martin and Ian Shaw on vocals. That was written by Joni Mitchell and arranged by Ian Shaw. That's all the time we have. I want to thank Ian for taking a little bit of time out of his day to give us a great conversation there. If you liked our show, please let us know. You can send your comments to us at podcast@avatarstudios.net. For more information about this episode or other shows, please visit our site at www.avatarpodcast.net. You can find a listing of all the music played in each episode and links to where you can find out more about the bands that were featured. If you like what you hear on the show, Avatar Studio Presents is offering podcast listeners a special offer on Ian Shaw's album, A World Still Turning, for only $9.99. Details are listed at the podcast site as well. Thank you very much for listening, and remember, be good to yourself. Welcome back, jazz fans, to another edition of Avatar Studio Presents. Come to you from Avatar Studios. This week we're coming from Studio G, our latest edition in 4 fine rooms. If you want to learn more about Avatar Studios, please visit us online at avatarstudios.net. This week, my featured artist is Lonnie Plaxico, who amazingly enough went professional at the age of 14. He worked with Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers from 83 to 86, and then Jack DeJohnette's Special Edition from 86 to 93. He is currently the musical director for Cassandra Wilson. Let's get this started with Squib Cakes by Lonnie Plaxico from his album, Mélanger. That was Squib Cakes from the album Malingé on Blue Note Records, composed and arranged by Lonnie Plaxico. The solos were by Tim Reese on tenor sax, Lou Soloff on trumpet, George Colligan on organ, and recorded in May of 2000. This next song, The Time, features Lonnie on electric bass. This is from his album Rhythm and Soul. From his album Rhythm and Soul, that was The Time by Lonnie Plaxico, and that's available on Sirocco Music. Solos were by Marcus Strickland on soprano sax, Jeremy Pelt on trumpet, and Lonnie Plaxico on electric bass. And that was recorded in January 2003. So, a bit earlier, I had a chance to sit down and have a conversation with Lonnie, and it went kind of like this. Lonnie, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me here.
Okay, it's our pleasure. You turned professional at 14 years old. Who were your influences at such an early age?
Back then, okay, it started with local musicians. And my brother, he's a drummer named Douglas Plaxico. And just musicians in the neighborhood, as far as like recorded musicians, Kool and the Gang, Earth, Wind and Fire, James Brown. It was more R&B based. And Rare Earth, you know, Temptation.
How did you switch to jazz?
A friend of mine named Larry Henderson, he plays saxophone. Of course, most horn players, they already know about jazz because the instruments they play are basically jazz instruments, and I played the bass guitar. So he told me about John Coltrane and Sonny Stitt and Charlie Parker.
Yeah, so the light bulb blown off in your head. Like, wow.
He just told me I had a lot of talent and that I should extend it more. And he told me about Charlie Parker, and he told me I should, you know, consider getting acoustic bass.
Very good. Your band is all relatively young. Do you purposely seek out younger players?
Yes, I mean, most musicians my age, they trying to do what I'm doing. And the only way to really make that happen is to use younger musicians. Because just the pay scale that an older musician requires is a lot higher. And also younger musicians, they're more eager to learn and improve themselves. And their minds are just totally different. You know?
So they're more prepared to like go on an adventure, or
yeah, and they're getting paid through the music too. So I mean, it's just not about money. They need the experience.
Yeah. You've worked with Chet Baker, Hank Jones, Dexter Gordon, Art Blakey, Jazz Messengers, Jack DeJohnette. What projects do you consider like your favorites?
Every situation is something I can learn from. I mean, but Art Blakey was like, it was weird because I never thought I would ever play with Art Blakey. I wasn't trying to get that kid. So when he called me one day, I was like, I was kind of shocked. I mean, I know the history of that institution, so that was a really good situation because I was around people my age. I didn't go to music college, but all of them had went to college. So along with being with Art Blakey, I was able to get information from all of those musicians who went to school.
So it was kind of like on the job training.
Yeah.
Very cool. Any new projects, or you got a new album coming out?
Yeah, the album I just completed with Cassandra Wilson doing vocal tracks, and Steve Coleman and Gary Thomas and Roger Coltrane, and guys in my band, Kenny Grahowski, Alex Norris. Basically, I'm just trying to figure out and wait in line because, you know, I see the music business is like, you have to stick it out. It's not something that happened overnight.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's true for most things.
Yeah.
So that's about it. That's all the time we have. I want to thank you very much again for coming in, and I'll hope to see you live at the Gitano on the 31st.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Lonnie. To really get a good appreciation for what Lonnie does, you really have to see him live. To capture some of the magic his band displays on stage, a live album was recorded at the Jazz Standard in New York City in January of 2003. The show featured Lonnie's ability to write unique arrangements of well-known standards, and add a little something extra. A good example of that is Summertime by the Lonnie Plaxico Group from their album Live at the Jazz Standard. And that was Summertime by the Lonnie Plaxico Group from their album Live at the Jazz Standard from 441 Records. That featured Alexander Norris on trumpet. This next song is The Sidewinder by the Lonnie Plaxico Group from the album Live at the Jazz Standard. From the Lonnie Plaxico Group, that was The Sidewinder from their album Live at the Jazz Standard. Solos were by Marcus Strickland on tenor sax, Alexander Norris on trumpet, and Martin Bergerano on piano.